Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy, and I recently produced a video about a weapon that had my recon KD skyrocketing. I explained that while KD isn't everything, and playing specifically for KD is a bad idea, and improving KD whilst playing objectively and trying to win is always a good indicator. I also explained about how I hadn't connected at all with recon in BF5 after loving the scout in BF1, but that this very same weapon had got me playing the class a lot, and that weapon was the Selbstlader 1906. In a follow-up video, I came to the conclusion that I'm entirely torn between the Selbo 6 and the ZH29 for my out-and-out favourite 2-tap killer. But I did mention that there was a way to make the Selbo 6 even better in that video, and that's what we're here for today. So for those of you that don't know, the Selbstlader 1906 can kill with 2 shots to the body and has a reasonably high rate of fire for such a high damage SLR. The downside being that you need to reload often due to only having 5 rounds, and that reload is kinda slow due to needing to push each round in individually. But there's a workaround for this, one I wasn't aware of. Now some of you will be aware of this. I'm not saying this is totally new information. In fact, the title indicates that this weapon is better than I specifically knew it was. Not better than everybody else knew it was. But this also means there's certainly going to be a lot of people out there who also didn't know about this. So I'm here for you guys. Now, on my original Selb video, I received a comment that said you can use the 2x scope and get a stripper clip reload. And I honestly thought that sounded ridiculous. Why would that be the case? But that comment was absolutely correct. So to whoever it was that said that on that video, thank you very much for the information. I do think that it's weird because there's nothing in the game to indicate this, to my knowledge, and there will be no reason to assume this will be the case, but it is, so we'll run with it. Right, so you equip the close range scope and this allows you to reload your rounds in one go if you fired all 5 of them off. So if you fire less than 5, you still have to reload each one individually. So rather than being an out-and-out faster reload, it's more like a lesser, more specific version of the detachable magazine specialization, which the Selbo 6 doesn't have available. So this is your best bet. I'll show you here a comparison of reloading all 5 rounds with and without a stripper clip. As you can see, it does make a difference, and one that certainly can help you out in game. I don't necessarily recommend firing off all of your rounds all the time in order to make use of this, but it's a nice bonus to have. It comes into play often, and sometimes it can be worth taking a speculative shot with your last round or two, so you can then get this faster reload off anyway. Now you could use the quick reload specialization if you want a faster reload time overall, but as I explained in my original Selbo 6 video, I don't personally think it's worth it. It only speeds the reload up by 15%, and selecting it means you can't utilize barrel bedding for better ADS accuracy and lighten stock for faster movement while in ADS, which I find to be far more useful on the Selbo 6. So with the stripper clip available, and keeping in mind that you'll often be firing all your rounds off because 5 isn't very many, you can play at a naturally higher tempo, spending more time in the action and less time fumbling around with your rounds. So you blast out 5 rounds, get a kill or 2, stripper clip reload and carry on with your business. So employ a lot of what I said in the previous Selbo 6 video I made. If you haven't seen it, I'll link to it in the description and my pinned comment. Utilizing a lot of the tactics and techniques I mentioned in that video will serve you even better with a stripper clip reload, speeding things up. I mean, the faster reload of the ZH29 with detachable magazines is one of the key reasons why a lot of people select that weapon over this one. So this alteration helps to bring the Selb closer to the ZH on one of its weak points while still holding onto its advantages. But this is not just a case of throwing on a different sight to get a situationally based superior reload, because actually using the sights required has its own benefits for the right kind of player as well. The close range scope is a fairly uncommon option in Battlefield 5. The sight that's usually available with a 2x magnification is the aperture sight, and let's just say there's a reason why you barely ever see anyone using that sight. But the close range scope is actually good, if you're someone who's used to using the mid-range scope, as I am. It allows you to utilize some magnification, but to a lesser extent, which makes it more viable at closer ranges. It's easier to use, to throw around quickly, and acquire and track targets that are near you. Just like how using the 3x scope at close range is easier than using the 6x scope at close range, well, using the 2x scope at close range is easier than using the 3x scope at close range. You could be more aggressive. It's easier to run and gun. It's great for walking down the corridor or checking an area at close to mid-range whilst aiming down sight. And essentially, it's easier to run at people, react, pull the scope up, shoot 1, 2, down they go, So keep going. It's a lot of fun and very satisfying, not to mention effective if you have the right skill set. Now as usual, this won't be for everybody. The semi-autos of the assault class are generally more user-friendly than the SLRs of the recon class, and some people just won't get on with the close range scope. Something that I do understand, as it does also have drawbacks as well. Firstly, it's not as good for checking areas, obviously, as the 3x. Battlefield 5 has some vast expanses, paired with less than stellar visibility, and I find the mid-range scope to be a fantastic option for dealing with this. But having said that, the close range scope can still be viable at longer ranges a lot of the time. It was only really a detriment on maps like Hamada, which is just huge and open in most areas, and even then I managed. But there is another downside. The sights are a little bulky, so it feels like your view outside of the scope is obstructed to a greater degree than with the mid-range scope. At first I didn't like this at all, and in fact at first I also couldn't aim well at all with this scope, as I'm used to using the mid-range scope far more. But both of those issues cleared up pretty quickly, and I found myself to be enjoying it a lot and having some real success with it. So to clarify, being used to using the mid-range scope is good for using the close range scope, but it might take a little bit of getting used to begin with. So, which do I prefer? The mid-range scope and a slower reload, or the close range scope with a somewhat reduced range ability? Well, honestly, probably still the mid-range scope more often than the close range scope, but that's not why I'm saying this gun is even better than I thought it was. That wouldn't make any sense. It's because it means I can pick and choose based upon the map, the situation, or how I want to play. It makes the weapon more versatile, and being able to choose either or means it'll be a good fit for more people. It's something that allows you to mix things up based upon what you're going to be doing and who you're going to be going up against. I genuinely feel like this is one of the truly underrated weapons in BF5, and it deserves some more attention. So if you haven't tried it yet, I urge you to do so, and have a play around with both scopes and see which you like, or maybe, like me, you'll find a use for both of them at different times. Plus, when you select that close range option, you get that stripper clip reload as well. To me, this all sounds like great stuff. Many positives. And so that's why this beast is even better than I thought it was. And I already thought it was fantastic. So what do you think? Are you keen on trying this out? Did you already know about it? And do you have any other little known BF5 secrets or tips to share? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and join my Discord server in the description and my pinned comment. Here's the Board of Awesome for the epic people who support the channel on Patreon. They're all absolute heroes and love them all deeply and often. If you want to join them on the Board of Awesome, the link to the Patreon page is in the description and my pinned comment. And with that all said, I'm GetGoodGuy, and I'll see you next time. Laters.